In a time of famine, one woman's faith and loyalty would change the course of history. This is the story of Ruth, a Moabite who chose loyalty over comfort and faith over fear. Journey with us through every verse as we uncover God's providence, His unseen guidance, and the power of covenant love. This audiobook is verse-by-verse cinematic and designed for meditation, study, or deep listening. In the days when the judges ruled, there was a famine in the land. A man from Bethlehem in Judah went to sojourn in the country of Moab with his wife and 2 sons. The man's name was Elimelech. His wife's name was Naomi. Their 2 sons were Mahlon and Chilion. They dwelt there in the land of Moab. But Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and Naomi was left with her 2 sons. They took wives of the land of Moab. The name of one was Orpah, and the name of the other Ruth, and they dwelt there about 10 years. Then both Mahlon and Chilion also died, and the woman was left without her 2 sons and her husband. Naomi arose with her daughters-in-law to return from the country of Moab, for she heard that the Lord had visited His people by giving them bread. So she set out from the place where she was with her 2 daughters-in-law, and they went on the way to return to the land of Judah. But Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, "Go, return each of you to her mother's house. May the Lord deal kindly with you, as you have dealt with the dead and with me. The Lord grant that you may find rest, each of you in the house of her husband." Then she kissed them, and they lifted up their voices and wept. And they said to her, "No, we will return with you to your people." But Naomi said, "Turn back, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Are there still sons in my womb that they may be your husbands? Turn back, my daughters. Go your way, for I am too old to have a husband. If I should say I have hope, even if I should have a husband this night and should bear sons, would you wait for them till they were grown? Would you shut yourselves off from having husbands? No, my daughters, for it is exceedingly bitter to me for your sake that the hand of the Lord has gone out against me." Then they lifted up their voices and wept again. And Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clung to her. And she said, "See, your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and to her gods. Return after your sister-in-law." But Ruth said, "Do not urge me to leave you or to return from following you. For where you go, I will go, and where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and there will I be buried. May the Lord do so to me, and more also, if anything but death parts me from you." And when Naomi saw that she was determined to go with her, she said no more to her. So the 2 of them went on until they came to Bethlehem. And when they came to Bethlehem, the whole town was stirred because of them. And the women said, "Is this Naomi?" She said to them, "Do not call me Naomi. Call me Mara, for the Almighty has dealt very bitterly with me. I went away full, and the Lord has brought me back empty. Why call me Naomi, when the Lord has testified against me, and the Almighty has brought calamity upon me?" So Naomi returned, and Ruth the Moabite, her daughter-in-law, with her, who returned from the country of Moab. And they came to Bethlehem at the beginning of barley harvest. Now Naomi had a relative of her husband's, a worthy man of the clan of Elimelech, whose name was Boaz. And Ruth the Moabite said to Naomi, "Let me go to the field and glean among the ears of grain after him, in whose sight I shall find favor." And she said to her, "Go, my daughter." So she set out and went and gleaned in the field after the reapers. And she happened to come to the part of the field belonging to Boaz, who was of the clan of Elimelech. And behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem, and he said to the reapers, "The Lord be with you." And they answered, "The Lord bless you." Then Boaz said to his young man, who was in charge of the reapers, "Whose young woman is this?" And the servant who was in charge of the reapers answered, "She is the young Moabite woman who came back with Naomi from the country of Moab. She said, 'Please let me glean and gather among the sheaves after the reapers.' So she came, and she has continued from early morning until now, except for a short rest." Then Boaz said to Ruth, "Now listen, my daughter. Do not go to glean in another field or leave this one, but keep close to my young women. Let your eyes be on the field that they are reaping, and go after them. Have I not charged the young men not to touch you? And when you are thirsty, go to the vessels and drink what the young men have drawn." Then she fell on her face, bowing to the ground, and said to him, "Why have I found favor in your eyes, that you should take notice of me, since I am a foreigner?" But Boaz answered her, "All that you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband has been fully told to me, and how you left your father and mother and your native land and came to a people that you did not know before. The Lord repay you for what you have done, and a full reward be given you by the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge." Then she said, "I have found favor in your eyes, my lord, for you have comforted me and spoken kindly to your servant, though I am not one of your servants." And at mealtime Boaz said to her, "Come here and eat some bread and dip your morsel in the wine." So she sat beside the reapers, and he passed to her roasted grain, and she ate until she was satisfied, and she had some left over. When she rose to glean, Boaz instructed his young men, saying, "Let her glean even among the sheaves, and do not reproach her. And also pull out some from the bundles for her, and leave it for her to glean, and do not rebuke her." So she gleaned in the field until evening. Then she beat out what she had gleaned, and it was about an ephah of barley. And she took it up and went into the city. Her mother-in-law saw what she had gleaned. She also brought out and gave her what she had left over after she had been satisfied. And her mother-in-law said to her, "Where did you glean today? And where have you worked? Blessed be the man who took notice of you." So she told her mother-in-law with whom she had worked, and said, "The man's name with whom I worked today is Boaz." And Naomi said to her daughter-in-law, "May he be blessed by the Lord, whose kindness has not forsaken the living or the dead." Naomi also said to her, "The man is a close relative of ours, one of our redeemers." And Ruth the Moabite said, "Besides, he said to me, 'You shall keep close by my young men until they have finished all my harvest.'" And Naomi said to Ruth, her daughter-in-law, "It is good, my daughter, that you go out with his young women, lest in another field you be assaulted." So she kept close to the young women of Boaz, gleaning until the end of the barley and wheat harvests, and she lived with her mother-in-law. Then Naomi, her mother-in-law, said to her, "My daughter, should I not seek rest for you, that it may be well with you? Is not Boaz our relative with whose young women you were? See, he is winnowing barley tonight at the threshing floor. Wash therefore and anoint yourself, and put on your best clothes, and go down to the threshing floor. But do not make yourself known to the man until he is finished eating and drinking. But when he lies down, observe the place where he lies. Then go and uncover his feet and lie down, and he will tell you what to do." And she replied, "All that you say I will do." So she went down to the threshing floor, and did just as her mother-in-law had commanded her. And when Boaz had eaten and drunk, and his heart was merry, he went to lie down at the end of the heap of grain. Then she came softly and uncovered his feet and lay down. At midnight the man was startled and turned over, and behold, a woman lay at his feet. He said, "Who are you?" And she answered, "I am Ruth, your servant. Spread your wings over your servant, for you are a redeemer." And he said, "May you be blessed by the Lord, my daughter. You have made this last kindness greater than the first, in that you have not gone after young men, whether poor or rich. And now, my daughter, do not fear. I will do for you all that you ask, for all my fellow townsmen know that you are a worthy woman. And now it is true that I am a redeemer. Yet there is a redeemer nearer than I remain tonight, and in the morning, if he will redeem you, good, let him do it. But if he is not willing to redeem you, then, as the Lord lives, I will redeem you. Lie down until the morning." So she lay at his feet until the morning, but arose before one could recognize another. And he said, "Let it not be known that the woman came to the threshing floor." And he said, "Bring the garment you are wearing, and hold it out." So she held it, and he measured out 6 measures of barley, and put it on her. Then she went into the city, and when she came to her mother-in-law, she said, "How did you fare, my daughter?" Then she told her all that the man had done for her, saying, "These 6 measures of barley he gave to me. For he said to me, 'You must not go back empty-handed to your mother-in-law.'" She replied, "Wait, my daughter, until you learn how the matter turns out, for the man will not rest, but will settle the matter today." The story of redemption continues. Please like, share, and subscribe. So Boaz didn't waste any time. The very next morning he went up to the town gate, the central place for legal and business transactions in ancient Israel. It was the city's courtroom, its city hall, and its marketplace all rolled into one. He sat down, and just as he'd hoped, the other kinsman redeemer, the one with a closer claim than Boaz, happened to walk by. Boaz called out to him, "Come over here, my friend, and sit down." He then gathered 10 elders of the town to serve as official witnesses. Everything had to be done properly and legally. With everyone assembled, Boaz laid out the situation. He started by explaining that Naomi, who had returned from Moab, was selling the piece of land that belonged to their relative, her late husband Elimelech. He told the man, "I thought I should bring this to your attention and suggest that you buy it in the presence of these seated here and in the presence of the elders of my people. If you will redeem it, do so. But if you will not, tell me, so I will know. For no one has the right to do it except you, and I am next in line." The man's initial response was quick and clear, "I will redeem it." Now, this must have sent a jolt through Boaz. Did this mean his hopes of marrying Ruth were about to be dashed? But Boaz was a man of integrity, and he hadn't revealed the whole picture yet. He continued, "On the day you buy the land from Naomi, you also acquire Ruth the Moabite, the dead man's widow, in order to maintain the name of the dead with his property." This was the crucial detail. Redeeming the land wasn't just a financial transaction, it was a family obligation. It meant marrying Ruth, and any son they had would be considered the heir of her first husband, Mahlon. This son would inherit the land, not the Redeemer's own family. Suddenly, the deal wasn't so attractive. The man immediately backed out. He said, "Then I cannot redeem it for myself, because I might endanger my own estate. You redeem it yourself." "I cannot do it." He was worried about diluting his own inheritance and complicating his family's financial future. To seal the deal, they performed a customary act. In those days in Israel, to finalize a transaction, one party would take off his sandal and give it to the other. So the man took off his sandal and gave it to Boaz, publicly forfeiting his right of redemption. With the legal obstacle removed, Boaz turned to the elders and all the people at the gate. He made a powerful declaration. "Today you are witnesses that I have bought from Naomi all the property of Elimelech, Kilion, and Mahlon. I have also acquired Ruth the Moabite, Mahlon's widow, as my wife, in order to maintain the name of the dead with his property, so that his name will not disappear from among his family or from his hometown. Today you are witnesses." The response from the elders and the people was a chorus of blessing. They said, "We are witnesses. May the Lord make the woman who is coming into your home like Rachel and Leah, who together built up the house of Israel. May you have standing in Ephrata and be famous in Bethlehem." They prayed for his family to be as significant as the founding mothers of Israel and for him to prosper. And so Boaz took Ruth, and she became his wife. The story, which began with famine and death, now turns to abundance and new life. The Lord enabled her to conceive, and she gave birth to a son. This was a direct answer to prayer and a sign of God's incredible faithfulness. The women of Bethlehem gathered around Naomi, their joy overflowing. They said to her, "Praise be to the Lord, who this day has not left you without a kinsman redeemer. May he become famous throughout Israel. He will renew your life and sustain you in your old age. For your daughter-in-law, who loves you and who is better to you than 7 sons, has given him birth." What a beautiful tribute to Ruth's loyalty and love. The bitterness Naomi once felt has been completely replaced by overwhelming joy and blessing, all because of Ruth's faithfulness and God's providence. Naomi, who had returned empty, was now full. She took the child, laid him in her lap, and became his nurse. The emptiness in her arms and her heart was filled by this precious new life. The neighborhood women gave him his name. They said, "Naomi has a son," and they named him Obed. And here the book ends with a short but powerful genealogy, connecting this small family story to the grand sweep of salvation history. The final verses tell us that Obed was the father of Jesse, and Jesse was the father of David. This small boy, born to a Moabite woman and a faithful man in Bethlehem, was the grandfather of Israel's greatest king. And as we know from the New Testament, it is from the line of David that the Messiah, Jesus Christ, would be born. The story of Ruth concludes not just with a happy ending for one family, but with a promise of hope for the entire world. It's a beautiful testament to God's redemptive love, a love that can take the most broken, empty, and hopeless situations and turn them into something beautiful for His glory. It's been an incredible journey. I hope this story has encouraged you as much as it has encouraged me. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into Scripture. As the final verses of Ruth close, we are left not with thunder, not with spectacle, not with miracles falling from heaven, but with something quieter and perhaps far more powerful. A family line, a genealogy, a name, David. And hidden inside that name is a promise bigger than Ruth, bigger than Boaz, bigger than Bethlehem itself. Ruth began in famine, in grief, in death. Naomi left Bethlehem full, with a husband and 2 sons, and returned empty. She even changed her name to Mara, saying, "The Almighty has dealt very bitterly with me," but God was already working. Not loudly, not dramatically, but faithfully. In the ordinary places of life, fields, harvest, loyalty, kindness, redemption was unfolding. And that is one of the greatest messages of Ruth. God often works most powerfully in the ordinary. Ruth was a Moabite, an outsider, a widow, a vulnerable woman in a foreign land. Yet she chose covenant loyalty over comfort. She said to Naomi, "Where you go, I will go. Your people shall be my people, and your God my God." That declaration changed history. Ruth teaches us that faith is not inherited by birth. It is chosen by loyalty. She entered Israel not through status, but through devotion, and God honored her faith. Boaz was not just a kind landowner. He was a redeemer. Under Hebrew law, a kinsman redeemer could restore land, preserve family lines, and rescue a relative from loss. Boaz stepped forward willingly. He paid the price. He covered Ruth. He restored Naomi's future. And in doing so, he becomes a living picture of something greater. Redemption always costs someone something. Boaz foreshadows Christ, the Redeemer who sees the outsider, pays the price, and restores what was lost. When Ruth gives birth to Obed, the women of Bethlehem gather around Naomi. Notice something beautiful. They don't congratulate Ruth first. They bless Naomi. The empty woman is full again. The bitter heart is restored. The woman who thought God had abandoned her now holds redemption in her arms. And they say, Naomi has a son, because redemption is communal. God doesn't just restore individuals, he restores families, legacies, futures. The book ends with a genealogy: Obed, Jesse, David, the shepherd, king. But the story doesn't stop there. Generations later, in the same town of Bethlehem, another child would be born. And Matthew's gospel makes something astonishing clear. Ruth, the Moabite widow, is listed in the genealogy of Jesus Christ. The outsider became part of the Messiah's bloodline. The widow became part of the Savior's story. The famine led to the King of Kings. Let's pause and reflect. God is working even when you feel empty. Naomi could not see what God was doing. She only saw loss. But God was weaving redemption through every painful chapter. If you are in a season of loss, confusion, or waiting, Ruth whispers, the story is not over. God may be writing a redemption you cannot yet see. Faithfulness in small things leads to big purposes. Ruth did not chase destiny. She gleaned in a field. She honored her mother-in-law. She obeyed wise counsel. And through ordinary obedience, God wrote her into eternity. Your field, your daily life may feel small, but faithfulness in obscurity prepares you for divine purpose. Redemption requires a redeemer. Ruth could not secure her own inheritance. Naomi could not restore her own future. They needed someone willing to stand in the gap. Boaz said yes. And in the same way, humanity needed a redeemer. Jesus stands as our greater Boaz. He covers us. He restores us. He brings us into the family of God. God welcomes outsiders. Ruth was a foreigner, yet she became central to God's redemptive plan. The Book of Ruth shouts this truth. No one is too far outside to be brought inside. Grace crosses borders. Covenant love breaks barriers. And God writes unlikely people into eternal purposes. Ruth contains no recorded miracles, no parted seas, no fire from heaven, no plagues or dramatic interventions. And yet, it may be one of the most miraculous books in Scripture, because it shows God's invisible hand guiding. A famine, a journey, a field, a conversation, a legal transaction, a marriage, a birth. Providence is the miracle you don't see until later. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture Bethlehem at harvest, golden fields swaying, the sound of laughter. A baby in Naomi's arms, a Moabite woman standing redeemed, a man who chose to pay the price, and above it all, a faithful God. The Book of Ruth teaches us that loss can lead to legacy. Loyalty can lead to destiny. Obedience can lead to royalty, and bitterness can turn back into blessing. The story that began in famine ends in fulfillment, and through Ruth's faith, a path was prepared for the Messiah. The Book of Ruth is not just a story about love. It is a story about redemption. It is a story about belonging. It is a story about God's quiet, unstoppable faithfulness. And if you are walking through your own field of uncertainty today, remember, your Boaz may already be in the field. Your redemption may already be unfolding. And your story, like Ruth's, may be part of something far greater than you can imagine.